gray sky above the buildings and at the frilly purple leaves of the ornamental kale in the tree boxes. I picked out every sound in the weekday city racket of sirens, jackhammers, horns, and shouts. I smelled a heady mixture of car exhaust, marijuana, and honey-roasted peanuts from a Nuts for Nuts cart. Never before had I experienced the world with such intensity. It was extraordinary. As I continued through the streets, waves of exhilaration made me want to laugh out loud or say to a passing stranger, "Look at the trees. Aren't they beautiful?" For too long, I realized, I'd been taking it all for granted. The colors, the sounds, the feel of everything around me. My walk home took only 20 minutes, but those 20 minutes were transcendent. I kept thinking, this experience is now, it's here, and it's also past, never to be repeated. In that time, I woke to a profound truth. I had my one body and its capacities right now, and I wouldn't have them forever. In college, I'd read a cheap edition of Henry James's The Portrait of a Lady on a top bunk with no proper reading light. Now I had to enlarge my smartphone's font to answer my emails. One day, I might no longer hear my husband Jamie's loud yawns or see our dog Barnaby triumphantly race through the apartment with his beloved abominable snowman toy in his mouth. Already, our daughter Eliza was out of the apartment, and we had just a few years left with Eleanor under our roof. I was a dutiful caretaker of my body, careful to get enough sleep, to exercise, to eat healthy food, to get my checkups and vaccines, to wear sunglasses and a seatbelt. But was I appreciating my body and its powers? Was I savoring each day of my life as it was unfolding? Was I paying attention to the people I loved? As I pressed the keypad to let myself into our apartment building, I accepted the truth that until now I'd ignored. I was running out of time. Shadows had begun to slant eastward, over Central Park and over my life. I didn't want to come to the end and think, so many things happened to me. I wish I'd been paying attention. I came home to an empty apartment. Before long, I heard Jamie calling me from the front hallway, and I jumped up to greet him. "Hello," I said, with a rush of love. "How was your day?" When I gave him a kiss, I noted the rough stubble on his cheek, and as we talked, I found myself gazing into his face with an intensity that led me to register the green of his eyes and the gray in his dark hair as I hadn't for a long time. I waited for Eliza and Eleanor to return from dinner with their grandparents. When they walked through the door, they seemed taller than I remembered, as though I'd been looking at them without really seeing them for months. "Hello," I said as I gave each of them a long hug. "Hi," they answered, with some surprise at my enthusiasm. As I pulled Eliza close, then Eleanor, I noted the scents of their different shampoos, one honey, one plum. When they were little, I'd been so physically engaged with my daughters, constantly caring, bathing, feeding, rocking, and cuddling them. Now that they were older, I more often kept my distance. Too much time had passed since I'd held them tight. I resolved to make a change. My pink eye infection cleared after a few days, but I couldn't stop thinking about what I'd experienced. For years, I'd been studying human nature and reflecting on how we can build happier lives, the science of the soul. One of my most important realizations was that we can build a happy life only on the foundation of self-knowledge. The more my life reflected my own temperament, values, and interests, the happier I became. So I spent a lot of time trying to know myself better. Before starting this process of self-examination, I'd assumed, how difficult can it be to know myself? I hang out with myself all day long. But self-knowledge is hard. To know myself better, I asked myself questions. Whom do I envy? What do I lie about? What did I do for fun when I was 10 years old? How do I put my values into action? I also followed dozens of happiness-boosting resolutions. Revive a dormant friendship.